focus, but here is some footage of myself running to get a better idea about some pointers for good technique. Now, one of the caveats that I should point out is that I'm running here over a space of about 5 meters and not capturing my running in the middle of a long stretch. And so therefore the technique is probably not quite that good, or not as good as it should be. But it will give you an idea about some of the things that I've been trying to point out. So what I want you to have a look at, first of all, my hand position on my left hand side is up at my nipple level. With my right arm, it's bent with that really nice angle here, which is an acute angle, and the elbow is pointed towards the back, which means that I'm propelling myself forward and using that arm as it swings back to get more momentum forward. You'll actually see at this angle it looks like I've got quite a bit of a lean forward. I think when I run more to the middle of the screen, I will look a little bit more upright. Okay. As we get to the crunch part here in the middle, have a look at where my foot is when I'm landing. Not yet, not yet. There. Okay, so I've really well and truly landed here, and the position of my foot and the point of impact, which is the front of my shoe, is actually fairly close to my hip. And that line there is close to vertical, particularly when you take into account the angle of the camera. So you've got that knee bent a little bit, and the point of impact is close to being underneath my hip. My back is relatively upright, but you'll see that my hips are rotated forward. My entire pelvis is rotated forward a little bit, which is allowing me to land underneath or close to underneath my body. The other thing in this frame, I want to point out my right leg, which is trailing behind, and it's at a bit of a 90-degree angle there. And what that means is, what I was referring to this morning, is that legs trailing behind, your body starts first and your legs follow. Okay, as we go forward, see that leg trailing and coming through now, and I'm pushing with my calves there. You can see my calf actually flexing and then landing. Oops, probably the frame just before this one. And again, it's relatively close to being underneath my hip and a little bit forward. You'll see as we're directly side on, my back is actually fairly upright. Now, one thing I will say, which is sort of a problem with running over 5 meters, is that there's quite a lot of vertical bounce. So I'm not running smoothly and skimming across the surface of the ground, and I could look at decreasing the amount of up and down movement as I run across the screen. See my head goes up there, and then it goes down there. One thing I do want to point out, by going back a little bit, is if I run this a little bit quicker, having a look at my knees and my legs. So you'll see that at no point am I really pushing strongly with my knees. Okay, we'll go back and have another look at that. So we break it down here and have a look at my knees. They're not pushing strongly. They're trailing behind. My legs are behind me, and I'm using my body momentum to run forward. Okay, and that is the difference between a sprinter and a long distance runner, or even a middle distance runner. Sprinters really push hard with their knees, and there's a lot of force and up and down movement in getting that knee up and down and pumping like a piston with every step. With long and middle distance runners, your knees should be essentially in a horizontal plane. They should not be going up and down, but they should just be running forward, going along in the line of the direction that you're running.